Hi, this is Team 7's video for Unit 5 Horizon Report. I'm Michelle Carvin, presenting 2016 K-12 edition.
And I'm Deja Watkins, and I'll be presenting the 2017 K-12 edition.
And I'm Alberta Keener, and I'll be presenting 2016 K-12 edition as well.
Hi guys, welcome back again. There was a lot of nice topics this week, and I really focused on two of them because it hits home with me teaching 8th grade. Redesigning learning spaces and collaborative learning. These are things that we are hearing constantly from our higher ups. What are you doing in the classroom? How are you getting these kids to talk? How are you taking it to the next level? Everything's about next level these days. They want to take them deeper and farther than they've ever been before and really make the learning worthwhile and enhance the results of this learning. You have all this knowledge, and what do you do with this knowledge? Well, one thing is redesigning the learning spaces. This has been going on for a while now. There's been a lot of talk of it. We actually have something called flexible seating. And the flexible seating, a lot of ideas that have been thrown around for that is whether the kids are standing or they're sitting. Some are on bean bags, some are at desks, some are at tables, some are on the floor, some are moving from different parts of the classroom. Maybe there's a technology center in the classroom. Maybe there's another area in the classroom that has a little bit lower lighting. Maybe there's another part of the classroom where they can all stand up and they can work on something. Or maybe there's a board that they can write on, or the butcher paper that they can jot things down on when they collaborate and they learn together. One thing I found interesting was the United States spent $2 trillion building schools with the same old 100-year-old model classroom that we've always been using, where the teacher's in the front of the room, you have a room full of desks, and about 30 kids in those desks, and you're all sitting and listening, which is very old school nowadays. One thing that made me think about for the redesigning learning spaces was something that I used to teach years ago. And we still do it in a way, it's just not as formal as it used to be, because after teaching for 27 years, you kind of see the same things circle back around with different names. When I think of collaborative learning or blended learning and redesigning all these classrooms, it makes me think of learning styles. What works best for kids? You had the 8 different modalities, which is like the verbal, the visual, the musical kinesthetic, the auditory, the combination, the social, the mathematical, and the solitary. I think solitary was kind of more of a recent development because they were not pushing that for learning styles. But we all know that some people just like to be by themselves when they work. So learning styles, I think, is definitely coming back around with a lot of fancier new names like the blended learning, like the collaborative learning, in the classroom with each other, in the school with other age levels and grade levels, in the world with other places in the world, in other classrooms in different states, and learning about the real world out there, and how can we help to come up with some solutions to all these real world problems. One thing is green schools. Everybody's going green these days. Green schools are saving 33% more energy, 32% more water, and over 10 years would save us $20 billion, which would definitely help in that direction of that $2 trillion going to building some new schools.
I definitely agree with you, Michelle. In the reports that I read, one of the 6 trends that really stuck out to me was the deeper learning approaches. And I think that goes hand in hand with the blended learning and the redesigned learning spaces. The learning or the deeper learning approaches, you've really seen a push for them lately, especially within STEM. So like the science and the technology and the engineering and the mathematics. They really are pushing for students to be able to have self-directed or just self-learning. So what we're facing is, yes, these approaches look very good, but the problem is that educators also have to be properly trained in order to be able to facilitate it. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing that they are not. They're just given the tools and they're simply just being said, okay, put in place this problem-based learning. But if we are not trained properly on how to do it, then the tools are not going to be successful within the classroom.
Right, you're setting it up for failure.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, the problem-based learning, the whole scheme of it, it is awesome. There's let me see what on my notes. Graduation rates have increased because of this, but ultimately the setup has to be correct. The classroom has to be cohesive for all of these things to take place. If students are just in that one-to-one, I mean, like the lecture style classroom, you're not going to get this collaboration with one another. You're not going to get the sharing of new ideas. And ultimately, we want to flip that onto the students so that they are able to have their self-directed learning, whereas the teacher or the educator could be ultimately the facilitator.
Right. And I'm just going to bounce off of both of you guys' thoughts because the section did go on to discuss the teaching models and how they're embracing to better prepare our learners for the workforce and redesigning the classroom to support the direction in which they are headed. It also talked about how the design of the classroom environment again affects the learner. The studies within the selection did state that they're making a switch, like you were saying, going green to the natural lighting and the increase. It's then increased, or they saw improvements in mathematics scores and reading scores just by making simple changes, like using natural lighting instead of using so much, I guess, of the electricity.
Right. They also mentioned like temperature and lighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, that affects it.
And decoration. Yeah.
Right, and it was given in the studies they did another study on another classroom, same class, but they put I guess they had like traditional learning and then they had active learning setting, and then with that they noticed that there were improvements in scores in the active learning, not the traditional learning, which is what you were talking about earlier, teaching in front of the classroom. That's right. The teacher, but they saw that there was improvement and there was a lot of discussion amongst students when they were in the active learning classroom.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right. Then they also saw increase in ACT scores. They were saying that as well in those type of learning environments. So I guess like the little minor things like you were saying, the seating affected, the temperature, like you were saying, all of those played a factor in that environment, which they saw an increase in the students' score. I also took away from it, they were saying that the basically how the norms, as we would call it, norms, like, again, teaching in front of the classroom, teacher does more lecturing and not allowing the students to do a lot of ownership of their learning. They were saying that the norms, removing the norms in how we would have a positive impact on students. For example, like you were saying, well, I don't think you mentioned this. They were saying like removing things like the bell schedule and not allowing homework assignments to be more than 10% of the students' grades. They wanted teachers to be looked at as a facilitator, like you said, and just providing more resources for the students and the learning space. And then I also wanted to touch bases on what Deja said. If the teachers are not properly trained, then it doesn't really make sense. They were saying in the article that they wanted to also allow training for teachers so that this environment could be, like you said, conducive to the students' learning.
Yeah.
So that was what I took away from.
Well, and I'll say this, just to kind of close it up. I know I teach 8th grade, so I literally see the kids sitting back just wanting us to feed them the information.
Right.
They are not trained by any means in this collaborative learning. We have done it, and I will say this, but if we are not like in that mode, then they're like, they forget it. They just want to sit there, they want you to feed everything to them. And we're not going to do that anymore. And so, I mean, we've even had kids mention before, well, why aren't you teaching me? Well, I am teaching you. I'm teaching you how to be self-sufficient. And I'm teaching you how to find things for yourself.
Right.
And then think about it, if they're, my biggest concern when reading it was, what about the behavioral issue? Some students need, I guess, that direction from the teacher. It's like you were saying, I don't know what to do. It's like, why are you not teaching this?
Right.
And that's when the behavior issues come.
So we're going to have to teach not only ourselves, but the kids on what this is going to look like.
And it's going to take practice, and it's
Lots.
not just a one and done thing. It has to be on a consistent basis.
Right.
And if there's no consistency, like we said, it's not going to work.
Right. Well, ladies, this was a good week for us.
Yeah,
I look forward to our next one, which I think will be our last one, Unit 6.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Yeah, until next time. Thank you, ladies. Have a good
Bye.
one.